What is going on, you beautiful bastards? Welcome to Unnecessary Rambling. I'm Brandon Sylvia. I'm joined by my homie, Mr. Madden Looney in the building. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well, so how about yourself?
Pretty good, dude. I'm pumped. So today, me and Madden Looney are going to be doing our 2023 video game fantasy draft. And I'll go ahead and get you screen shared on over here to Microsoft OneNote or whatever the hell this thing's called. And so we have our little draft set up. We're going to be doing a little video game fantasy draft. And what this is pretty much we're looking at the games coming out in 2023 and we're matched up against one another. We're trying to draft the 10 best games that will release in 2023 based off of Metacritic reviews, the aggregate review score. So before we dive into any of this, I want to give a shout out to Sifted Games. I believe, were the first podcast to do this sort of thing, and I always want to give recognition where it's due, and I've been watching them for a long ass time. I think I've been watching them do like video game fantasy drafts since 2016 2017 or so they've been on this for a
Damn, they've
hot
been doing that for a while.
they've been doing this for a hot minute, man. So I want to give them credit for creating this idea, and so yeah, the idea comes from them, and I'm excited to jump into this. And I brought Matt and Looney on board because he's one of the only few people I know that are as damn nerdy and into the weeds with this shit as I am. So I know
I love
he's
the
gonna.
numbers.
Yeah, I know you're gonna have some interesting stuff that's gonna be fun to see the team that you put together. Hey guys, cutting in here real quick because when I was watching the video back when I was editing it, I realized I didn't really do a great job of giving you the information of what this draft is. The rules are fairly simple and laid out, but I didn't really go into detail for what the draft is, and I noticed that our images, like the little screen, was kind of blocking off the rules, so I'll make sure to put like a clear text in there so that you guys can see it and all that. But what this draft is in general is that me and Mad Looney got together and we are trying to predict, or we're trying to pick a team of 10. Both of us have 10 selections that we get to make, and we're trying to get the highest overall score based off of Metacritic. So we're both picking 10 games, and then at the end of the year, we'll add up all 10 of those games, for each team. And whichever team of 10 has the highest score overall, that will be the team that wins. And then to add on to that point total overall, we put in the Metacritic prediction stipulation where we, after we make our picks in the draft, we'll go and try to predict what we think that game will get on Metacritic. And if you get the score on the money, if it's 100% accurate, you get 5 additional points to your overall score. If you get it 1 point off, you get 3 additional points. If you are off by 3 or less, you get 1 point. So just a added little incentive, just an extra little layer in there to make it, somewhat more enticing, hopefully. And the other rules that we had wrote down is no remasters or ports. Remakes are okay. Standalone DLC is okay, but no remasters or ports can be selected. And we also have 2 alternate picks that we select, our teams of 10, and then we selected 2 alternate picks. And those alternate picks are only used if a game gets delayed. So as soon as the game gets delayed, your first alternate pick goes in and takes the place of the game that got delayed. And then the last rule is that if a game comes out on multiple platforms, like say a game comes out on Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X, usually the PlayStation 4, like the last gen versions, are going to perform worse on Metacritic. So for all of these games that are multi-platform releases, we take the highest overall score on Metacritic. So say a game releases on, like I said, all the platforms, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and next gen, PS5, Series X. If the Series X version is the highest out of all the platforms that the game came out on, if it reviewed the best there, we'll take that version of the game just to kind of hopefully represent it in the best light possible. The best version of that game is technically the game we're selecting here. And then obviously the team Ramblin' Rattlers, that's my team. Team Looney is obviously Team Madden Looney's team. I don't even know if I mentioned that in the video. I just kind of got right into the draft after going over the like 2 seconds of the rules. So I wanted to take this time to explain it a little bit more, give you a little graphic you can read. That way it's easy, because I would assume most of you would pick it up as you go, but just to lay it out clear and simple, that way there's no misunderstanding. So yeah, I appreciate you all for tuning in, and I'll kick you back over to round 1 of the draft. Well, I'm the home team here, so I think I gotta punt it off to you early on. I'm gonna let you go ahead and jump this thing off with your first pick of the 2023 video game fantasy draft.
Alrighty. See, I know what you are gonna pick first, and it would feel wrong to steal that.
Okay.
So I'll go for Octopath Traveler 2.
Ooh, all right, nice. Octo, and then keep in mind I'm typing all this out with one hand,
Yeah, no,
so
of course.
give me, a little bit of leeway here. Traveler 2. I think I might have spelled Traveler wrong if I did. All right.
Did you play the first game?
I didn't, man. It was Switch exclusive for a little while, wasn't it?
It launched on the Switch and then it got ported to the other consoles.
Yeah, I haven't
I think it was
played
a
the
day
first
one Game Pass release as well.
Oh, was it?
I could be wrong though. I think it even might still be in Game Pass. It
Not,
seems like nothing ever leaves.
yeah. When I saw that trailer for the second game, I'm not gonna lie, I was wowed by the visuals of Octopath Traveler 2. I think that's a damn good selection. What are you thinking it's gonna perform at on Metacritic?
You would hope better than the first, that they would listen to feedback. Um, it was beloved by fans and stuff. I'm gonna have to go with like an 85.
85. That's safe.
Yeah.
I think that's a good safe number there. Yeah, and that is, if I'm not mistaken, that is coming to everything but Xbox when it launches, correct?
Yep, I'm taking one straight to the heart. But man, the first game was so good. It's gotta come to Xbox at some point. They put the first one on there. Why wouldn't you? At some point, I'll
Yeah,
just have to wait with bated breath.
that's they got some weird stuff going on with a lot of those releases, especially in the JRPG world of things just lingering. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake still not on Xbox. That is,
But we get Crisis Core.
yeah,
Like, like that's
very
nice to get it, but like people have been, it's like over 2 years now, is it not? It's been
right, and it's like,
still
well,
no info, and the new one's coming out next year.
yeah, and it's
Like,
like,
come
well,
on, man.
who the hell is going to play Crisis Core and not want to play FF7 Remake? It makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
So weird. So let me actually, I want to ask you before I make my selection, what selection did you think I was going to be making?
I really think you're gonna lock in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, isn't it? Now is what it's called.
That's
Yeah,
oh,
Jedi Survivor.
and we should say to the viewers, we're doing this all live on the fly. I'll edit in gameplay and or trailers and all that shit as we go here to make it more palatable for the viewer. But yeah, we're doing this all live on the fly here, and I so I
Oh,
look, I want to take Star Wars. I really do, because as soon as I saw that trailer at the Game Awards, I was like, please pump this into my veins. It looked so good. It looked so much better than the first one. I already loved the first one. But tell me if I'm crazy. Do you think that's a little bit of a risky pick? Because I believe the first one was at like a 79 on Metacritic.
oh, was it?
I believe, which is crazy hearing that, but I think it
No
was.
way. I need to see this with my own eyes.
Yeah, look it up. I could be way.
Oh my God, really?
Is it?
7.6 for users. Are you out of your mind? 79 on Metacritic.
Okay, so the
Oh,
Metacritic
yes.
aggregate review score is 79.
Oh,
Am I right on that?
yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's to me, I think that's just kind of suffering from the fact that it's a Star Wars game. I don't think licensed game, even if you go to like the Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man, I don't think that even cracked like high eights. I could be way off on that, but I feel like licensed games don't get the same type of love as just your standard big AAA titles. And that kind of gets me worried, and it makes me want to go in a different, very safe direction. But it's like my heart wants what my heart wants, and I really do want to go with
You shouldn't
Jedi
have
with
said anything.
Survivor.
You should have kept this to you so you could have thrown me under the bus. If you wouldn't have picked this,
Man,
I'd have been like easy. Ah,
dude,
that hurts.
I gotta go with it. I gotta go with it. I know that's I know this could be risky, but it's like, look, at this point, you're talking about your first pick. I know we're trying to win, but I want to have my first pick be I something that I actually want to play and want to check out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, that's what it's all about.
So I'm going Metacritic. The Metacritic prediction here is really tough because what the hell? Like, if I'm predicting that it gets a 82, then I probably shouldn't have selected it first, and that's just a little bit of an increase over the first game, which I feel like could be a practical, reasonable prediction. But I'm gonna go. I think Respawn, they had enough time with this one. I'm going off on a limb here. I'm going 86. Going
Is
86
it
on it.
coming to previous gens?
I don't believe so.
So that really, yeah, that should help push it. You would hope,
You would think so.
not
So
having to make for so many other systems, like Hogwarts Legacy. No one's
exactly.
choosing that. I'm sorry, it's too risky.
Yeah, I think that game is going to be good, but that game suffers from a lot of different problems with the critical, side of things. I don't see that reviewing incredibly well, even if the game is great. But I'm going Star Wars Jedi Survivor 1 point ahead of Octopath Traveler 2, just to sneak in there with a 1 point increase over you, which I have a hard time believing Jedi Survivor will review higher than Octopath Traveler 2. But like I said, I do think Respawn, they're that's a special studio, man, a really, really special studio. And I feel like they didn't have enough time to really hone in and get the first game running the way they wanted it to. Because if you remember, that game had a lot of technical issues, and I just don't see the sequel having those same issues.
It felt like everything fell upon their shoulders um, to keep single player games alive at EA. They did not have enough time, but with what time they did what Obsidian did, and with what they had, crafted something magical and special.
100%. And you also have to take into consideration that that license was that exclusive agreement that EA had with Disney for Star Wars that was ending in 2023. So I feel like EA was kind of panicking and just threw their most talented team to like go get us a Star Wars game so we can renew that exclusive license. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but it kind of felt like just a last minute ditch effort because before that all they had was Battlefront 1 and 2 were the only, I believe, Star Wars, the EA.
Squadrons?
I think that was after Fallen Order, if I'm not mistaken. I think Squadrons is
Yeah.
2020.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like before Fallen Order, if I'm not mistaken, the only two EA Star Wars titles were freaking the Star Wars Battlefront
Oh,
games.
they were so disappointing as well. For
Crazy,
people that
man.
grew up on the pandemic Battlefront games, like there was such a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, not even to talk about the that studio in general and just the does regardless, I can't even get going with
We're already
EA's.
we're already derailing.
EA has had so many blunders that just makes you want to pull your hair out. But hey, they're starting to turn the ship around a little bit. I'm hoping that Jedi Survival will really kind of kick that off and get the big single player renaissance going in a big way. So that's my number one pick. What you got for me for your number two pick?
Uh, I'm kind of torn between two.
Okay.
One is something that I genuinely want to succeed so damn badly, and then the other one is just like, come on, it's gonna review well. You don't need to worry about it. So I'll go with a safe pick as it's early, and that's going to be Resident Evil 4 remake.
I was already typing before you before you even said it. I know that's yeah, that's a lock, man. That's a good pick.
And it's because I don't know what they've done recently at Capcom, because as much as like I know you and me, we defend Resident Evil 6, but like it wasn't popular with a lot of people. These remakes, what have they been doing?
Something in the water over there, man. They have been so consistent lately. They haven't. A lot of people don't love three. I loved the remake of three. I had so much fun with it. Minus, the clock tower. Not like that. That was my favorite part of the original RE3, and that being that being cut definitely took from the overall product, but man, I had fun with it. And they've nailed the mechanics with reimagining those games, man.
No, absolutely. It's the engine as well, from what they brought from 7, because it's all done in the RE engine. I was talking to a friend about it the other day. You do not see studios that can have both camera perspectives done so damn well. Like when you play like a Bethesda game, I don't know how you play them, but for me, it has to be played in third person. It feels too clunky to play it in third person.
Yep, totally.
They give the option there, but it just doesn't. It feels like it was an afterthought. As I said, I don't know what they do, because when you played through the Shadows of Rose DLC and the 2 remakes in third person, they feel crisp. They're able to translate the combat perfectly, and then they go and do that with Village and 7 at
It's
the same
crazy.
like level. Like what? How are you mastering both perspectives? Like you have veterans of the industry that like Cyberpunk, it struggled to get some of them basic fundamentals down and get them patched out. Yet they just would just, yeah, we've never done like a first person really before, but we just nailed it from the get-go. It's amazing. It's
It's totally
outstanding.
it's totally freaking crazy, man. I it's so CDPR is kind of another one in that realm with the Witcher and Cyberpunk. Maybe not having that same refined, polished, crisp nature to both perspectives, but really surprising that they were able to do it, especially with those big RPGs that they're known for. But oh, this is we might need to adjust something here for the rules. Are DLCs allowed?
As in like standalones, like the Shadow, like would that have
Yeah,
even
like
counted?
Shadows of Rose, or like the new Phantom Liberty from Cyberpunk.
I mean, yeah, I
You
don't
want to
see why
allow
not.
them?
Like
Okay,
it's especially something like that. That's not gonna be something you finish in 2 hours, I'd hope.
right. So remakes and standalone DLC loud. All right. So we will add that caveat in there for the rules. Oh, and I guess we should have probably said we got our little team names here. Just threw that down. I'm the Team Ramblin' Rattlers over here. He's Team Looney over there. So we just kind of on the fly threw that together. But what do you have for your Metacritic prediction for Resident Evil 4? What do you think this thing is going to come in at on Metacritic?
Before I make it, I'm gonna pose like you the question: do you think it will be better than the second remake,
Oh,
Resident Evil 2's remake?
so immediately where my brain goes when you ask that is that Resident Evil 2, that was what kicked everything off. And I think it was just this immediate shock reaction from critics, from fans, where everybody looked at that and was like, I cannot believe that they went from 7 to this. Like, I don't think anybody was expecting them to nail that remake the way they did. Like you said, just coming off a first person focus game, and then to go and nail that third person perspective and keep the essence of Resident Evil 2 from 1998, but with this totally different world, a darker sort of aesthetic. And you know, I just think that it was so shocking immediately that I kind of, because I think Resident Evil 2 remake is like a 92 on Metacritic, so I could be wrong on that. It's been a while since I've looked, but
91, apparently.
91.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a tough time seeing, but Resident Evil 4 is like one of the greatest games of all time. And from what we have seen of RE4, that thing looks fantastic. So I would say like a 90. I would say maybe exactly where Resident Evil 2 is, a 91 is kind of what I would predict.
Oh. I maybe this is like an unpopular, but I think it'll be better. I really do because Resident Evil 4, when it came out originally, like that was the thing that really kicked it into that next gear. It brought it into that modern thing. I don't think they're gonna botch that. I think they're gonna pull out all the guns. They need to, you know,
Yeah.
get what they got back then and bring it here. Push Resident Evil further than it's been pushed.
Yeah, and
I
if
think
you
93.
ooh, golly, 93 for RE4. The thing about it is I don't think you're crazy with that. I mean, Resident Evil 4 is generally considered one of the greatest games of all time. And if that core DNA is still intact, but with this new modern approach, it's like I have a hard time disagreeing with you there.
I
90
just I
fucking
can't
three.
I can't see even just how the original game was. Just even updating that into like a modern thing, I think that would even just be great. So any changes that they were to make to better it, it just elevates it even more.
Totally, dude. Totally.
Here's
That's a
hoping.
yeah,
Here's hoping.
that's the pick like we talked about at the beginning. I don't know if you said it at the beginning, but that's the, that's what I was thinking about going with over Jedi Survivor, but I'm just so curious about Jedi Survivor. And I want it on. Would you have taken Jedi Survivor number 2? I got to ask you that.
Oh, I don't. It would be a coin flip. Ask me it. Each day, my response might have been different.
Different.
Maybe. I
Okay.
really did like the first game, though. That was a really cracking game.
Okay. Damn. I Now it's making me think I should have waited off on old Survivor there. But nah, man,
Got in your
that's
head.
yeah. I So for my second pick, I think I am gonna go safe for number 2 and go with something that is releasing very soon. And
Hmm.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and take the other one. If we're doing our Oh man, I just noticed. I'm Team EA over here. I'm taking Dead Space remake number 2. It's coming out in a few I think January 24th or something like that. So we don't have a long wait at all. I want something on my team that's going to get me points on the board early, something that I trust to be at least mid 80s, like with I can't see a world where this doesn't score at least an 85 or so. So I'll go ahead and lock in my prediction there for Dead Space at an 85. I could see it even being 88, 89-ish if it is like they're trying to say it's improved across the board on the storytelling, with Isaac having the full voice lines and actually getting in there and detailing his story arc a little bit more, and some improvements to the like zero gravity stuff. It does look like an improvement. Me and you have talked about this before about our thoughts on this over usage of remakes and remasters over and over again. But this is kind of right there on the border for me. 2008, I believe the first game came out. Does it need a remake? I don't think any of us would say it does, but will I sit there and happily take a Dead Space remake after, especially after playing Callisto Protocol and that really not giving me that itch that I was looking for with a sci-fi horror game? I'll take it, and I want something safe on the board there, so I'm going with the Dead Space remake at number 2.
That's what I was gonna say as well. Is Callisto's sitting at 72. Like
72.
that is rough.
That is really
I think
rough.
that is. I don't know. Maybe we look too far into it though, because when you actually look at it objectively, that's still at like a 7.2 out of 10. Like that's still a good game.
Are you? I just
Would you push it further than that?
yeah. I'm higher than a 7.2. I'm not a 8, but I'm not a 7.2. I'm probably a 7.7 on it. I would say. What are you thinking?
If you were to ask me that 2 hours in, I would have spat in your face and told you to get this disc
That's
out
a
of the
funny.
console
Yeah.
because oh my God, did I get cheated? But
Tell that story.
no,
Tell that story. That's a funny ass story.
so I was planning on just playing it on normal because I don't think I didn't beat any of the Dead Space on their hardest difficulties. They just always, from the sound of them, sounded so unbelievably like cruel. Um, and I started my initial playthrough and I had to stop for some reason. And the save system, I think you can agree with, is pretty atrocious. Sometimes you have to do so much backtracking if you
Well,
die.
yeah, well, I think that it's very, very apparent for people like you who were playing on that difficulty. For me, I didn't die often at all in Callisto. So when people were talking about it being so hard, I was like, I don't really feel that. Well, there were certain sections that were, but yeah, keep going. This is a funny ass story.
So I had to stop playing like when he was in the ship at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it didn't save at all. So it basically, I started it and then I never got through to when you get off of the next cutscene. So basically, no progress had technically been made. When I had locked in that playthrough again, because I remember initially when I was selecting the difficulties, it just spun like a roulette wheel when I was trying to choose it. And I was like, Jesus Christ, that's really sensitive. Autopilot turned on. I was like, oh, I'm ready to get, I'm pumped, and let's go. And I must have selected hard, and it just kicked my ass. And I just didn't know. I got to the first when he gets the weapon, and it was just dogging me. And I was like, what the hell am I doing wrong? Like, this thing is one-shotting me. You get no health pickups and everything. The shower was the next thing that brutally beat the hell out of me because not only is it difficult, for some reason, when you hit the enemies into like the environment, it just wouldn't register that they were there. I don't know if
Hmm.
you ran into that.
I
His
did.
swings would just, it's meant to rip it in and it just wouldn't. And it was getting more and more frustrating. And that's when I ended up messaging you. I was like, am I crazy? This game is like, what the hell is he thinking? This is like his first game. And he was like, it ain't that difficult. I was like, what? Am I, have I deteriorated that badly? And then once I got the kinesis stuff, I was able to cheese. And then when it rolled and popped that achievement, I was like, wow, you're gonna do that to me, huh? Is that what we was doing? Loaded it up, looked at the menu, and I was like, wow, I'm actually,
So
and I took it personal.
so he didn't know the whole time. He was playing on the hardest damn difficulty until the achievement popped, correct?
Yep, I had no idea. I thought that was the gen. I thought I was just bad
Because I remember
because
you
it
saying,
had been a while.
yeah, I remember you saying the thing about the health pickups. I was like, man, I have too many health items. I was like, what and I know that you're a better gamer than me, a 300 gamer score, beating everything on the hardest difficulties. I was like, that is really weird, but I didn't think anything of it. Then you said I accidentally selected the hardest damn difficulty. I was like, well, that makes total freaking sense there. So yeah, that was a funny ass story. So
Uh,
but it is that thing though with Dead Space of like I just I was looking for a little bit more Dead Space in Callisto. I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that it's such a departure from Dead Space with like the melee focused combat, but you know, I'm craving a little bit more of that third person over the shoulder Resident Evil 4 inspired sci-fi survival horror. So I'm going Dead
did
Space with
he
number two.
did he let people know that he was making it melee focused though? Because maybe it's because I avoided a lot of the stuff. Did he make that aware? And this is me, my fault to blame, like for not researching it.
I don't really know. Because I was like you, there was a certain point where I started tuning out a lot of the trailers. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick this thing up. I don't really want to get
Mm.
anything spoiled for me. There was a focus on it for sure in some of the gameplay trailers, but you saw a lot of the stasis, telekinetic abilities. You saw some shooting. It didn't appear as melee dominant with the gameplay. As like I was shocked by that. It is a very melee dominant gameplay loop.
Yeah.
So but
So,
I liked it. I had fun with it. I'm not, well, I'll talk about it more in a later video, but I did enjoy the Callisto Protocol, but I am looking forward to a more traditional Dead Space experience. So that's going to be my number 2 pick. What you got for number 3?
what have I chosen? So JRPG and a horror game.
Octopath
I just
Traveler
have to go with
2.
my love now. It's got to be Warhammer 40K Space Marine like 2.
I
Like
think that's a good pick.
what on earth happened? Like to allow them to get that?
Wait, what
Like it
happened?
should have like well THQ went bust, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Like you wouldn't have expected it to ever see a sequel because the first game left on a cliffhanger.
Right.
So
So you're a
that's
fan
crazy.
of this, you're a fan of this universe in general,
Yeah,
and this is just
very big fan. And
a
it's just a continuation.
right. Yeah, so a sequel to, was, did the first game review particularly well? Do you know?
Well, 75-ish, 76, depending on what platform.
Okay.
Um, so it's a good game overall,
But
but like,
what's giving you the confidence to pick it here at number 3? It's just that you're a fan of the franchise?
yeah, like they get a lot of games releasing, and the majority of them, I won't lie, are kind of bad. For some reason, they fall into the trap of constantly churning out mobile games, which is
Mm.
disappointing. And then they will port them to consoles, which then looks really bad because it's a phone game.
So
And you,
if you what were you, are you thinking that it's going to outperform like significantly that 75 range, or do you think it's gonna be somewhere in that realm?
do you want to know why I put it here?
Yeah.
You've been buzzing about Evil West. I think it's gonna hit that like kind of polish and design scape because I don't think you played the first one.
I
You're not
haven't.
like too. It was it felt like, if I'm being 100% honest, like Evil West, like just that third person like action game, really visceral combat. Um, but the thing that let it down was it had a lack of enemy variety, which, come on, man, it's the Warhammer universe. You have so many different like aliens and stuff and different factions that you could put in there, and it was primarily I think it was orcs and chaos were the only two that made an appearance really. And they've
Hmm.
shown in the trailer that Tyranids, them alien things, are making an appearance. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
I know that certain Warhammer games, I don't know which series. Like I said, I'm not real familiar with it, but I know that there's a couple that review really well. Um,
Um,
like a third person one. I remember some. I remember hearing some speculation about it getting really high review scores. And this was only a couple years ago, but I don't have the real knowledge of the Warhammer universe to do you know what game I'm talking about? It's like a third person shooter.
I'm I'm drawing a blank. A third person shooter?
It might not even it might not even be Warhammer.
Um,
I remember something similar that was coming out based off a franchise. I'm gonna type it in. Warhammer third person
Dark
shooter.
Tide maybe
Maybe it
that
was
come
Dark
out.
Tide.
That's first person though.
Oh, is it
That's
first
kind of,
person?
yeah, it's kind of like a Left 4 Dead game
Okay. Huh,
because
maybe it.
the third person shooter was definitely Space Marine because people compared it to Gears of War when it came out.
Okay, so maybe this is the one that I'm even talking about. Um yeah, maybe Space Marine is the one that I was hearing people talk about getting hyped up. But you're saying it only reviewed around in the mid sevens, which I mean that's not a bad score really.
No,
That's a
for a Warhammer game, that's amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Usually
that's
review a lot worse.
okay. Yeah, that's a solid
Um,
safe score. Is it? Do you know when it's releasing? Space Marine 2?
I don't know the exact release date, but they've been. I think it got coverage at last year's Game Awards, and they
Okay.
were thinking of maybe releasing it this year, and then they pushed it back.
Okay. So
So
pretty
surely it's got to be coming out like next year.
right.
And if it isn't
Okay.
that, oh, thank God for the alternatives.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I'll definitely have to slot some of those in. So what is your prediction for the score for Space Marine 2? First one at a 75, 76. You think it's gonna get to the 80s?
I'm gonna be a bit cheeky and just see what Evil West is sitting at because I really do think that it's gonna be very, very, very similar to this. Um,
I think Evil West actually performed really poorly, like around a 70, which
72? Are you kidding me?
yeah,
I
I th
cannot believe this, man. I don't understand these reviewers.
unless we just got like the fully patched playable version and they were experiencing more technical issues, but
I, I, I don't think it is because I remember seeing one of the reviewers that I usually tune into, and he does like usually old stuff. And he's usually like, yeah, let's bring games back to the way they used to be. And then I remember tuning into his Evil West thing, and he just dogged it. And I was like, did we play the same game? Like, everybody's like saying that they want that old school action-packed game, and they give you exactly that, and it's not good enough? What?
yeah,
You out of your mind?
there's a part of me that's just like I feel like a lot of gamers or some gamers I should say they're just never going to be happy with anything. Like no matter what trend the industry takes, no matter what, like it just seems that there's always going to be something that's that's something to bitch about. Like I thought that the return to that linear nature with Evil West was such a refreshing treat to like get that old school God of War style feel, that old school, character action, fast, bombastic. Like I loved that stuff, and to have it be, something you easily digestible, beat it in whatever 8 hours or so. I really appreciated that. But
Yeah, because I won't lie, I haven't finished it. I don't know about you.
yeah, I
I
finished
only
it.
dived I only dived in for 2 hours, but for them 2 hours, like there was no like fat on the side. There was no wasting players' time. Like it's just you're doing something. You're in the action,
Totally,
A to
dude.
B, and
Yeah.
that I was like, man, this is amazing. I need to come back to this.
Yeah, no, it totally respects your time. I got out of it, and I definitely under 10 hours or so. Like I loved that game. It's one of my favorite games of the year. I won't spoil anything for that, but it's one of my favorite games of the year. But what were you thinking for that Metacritic prediction for
I
40K
was I
Space Marine?
was legitimately like ready to drop like low 80s, but seeing how people receive that and the original one, like I think it like we're here to win. Um, 76, I think, is what it will get, sadly. I really,
76.
yeah.
Okay, well, hey, I mean, that getting points on the board, that's the biggest thing,
Mhm.
and high sevens is totally fine. So,
But I'm
yeah.
the real winner if it gets more than that. So,
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if I clarified earlier in the thing, but we're going to add up our total points at the end of the year. So, whenever we get our 10 games at this time next year, we'll go through it, and whoever has the highest total added up will be the winner for the 2023 video game draft. And it's not, we're just kind of doing this to have fun, build teams. There's no like stakes on the line or anything, just the pride of the draft here on the old unnecessary ramble and fantasy draft 2023. So for me, my third pick for the 2023 draft, like I think I have to go with it, even though it's not a game I'm terribly excited for. I just can't see this getting lower than like high eights, and that's Zelda, the Tears of the Kingdom or whatever.
yeah,
I just
you would have had that. I wouldn't have even tried to put up a fight. I'm like the biggest like I don't enjoy Zelda, so but it
and that,
always it's a flat like 90 minimum. It's easy points.
yeah, and that's kind of my thing too, is that like it's just it's not necessarily my thing at all, but if I'm going to win this, you got to have Zelda on your team. I don't with the Switch being, definitely a needing a refresh, needing a Switch 2, needing some sort of next gen Nintendo console, does that hold Zelda back from reaching the glory of Breath of the Wild, the original? Like, I don't know, maybe there's a possibility with that, but I just I don't know.
I don't see that. They always just Nintendo first party games just always review universally well, even the bad ones.
yeah,
Like, look
that's
at that new Pokemon game. It's littered with bugs, and people are still. I'm not sure what it's sitting at, but still gonna sell like hotcakes. It doesn't even matter. It's the worst performance of a Pokemon game that I've heard of, and they still are really happy with them.
yeah, and you're totally right. It's just the thing where it's similar, like you have your section of reviewers. You have your Dark Souls, your Soulsborne style reviewers. They really gravitate towards those games. You have your Nintendo reviewers. They really gravitate towards those games. And like whenever a new Souls game or Souls Inspire game comes out, they're going to take that reviewer and put it on to review the Souls game. Whenever a new Nintendo first party game comes out, they're going to take their Nintendo reviewers, put them on that game. So it's just like there's just a level of not bias. It's you can't help but be biased. There's just general bias in reviews in
Uh,
general. But you get what I'm saying?
I think I would prefer that because IGN has got a lot of flack over the years for mishandling how you do reviews. Because if you remember correctly, I don't know if you saw it, Alien Isolation got absolutely dreadful reviews, and it wasn't because it was a bad game, it's because the person didn't like survival horror. So why put him on it?
Yeah,
You can't give a a fair point of what the game is about if he's just sitting there hating every minute of it because it's just not a genre he plays.
totally. Yeah, and I'm not even disagreeing with the fact that that's how they handle reviews per se. I'm just saying that that is kind of the mold that it's taken, and
Mm.
for that being, kind of the format, when we know that usually someone who is invested in Zelda, invested in the Nintendo ecosystem going into review Tears of the Kingdom, I don't
Mhm.
think they're going to be looking at the not so great performance of the Switch and how it's not holding up to modern standards. I don't know if it's going to be knocked considerably for that. And maybe it shouldn't be knocked considerably for that. That's to each his own opinion on that, but I for my score for Tears of the Kingdom, I know the first one was like at a 97. I don't think it'll do that. It's just tough to follow up something that high. I'm gonna go a 93 though, man.
Wow, that low.
You think it's gonna be higher?
I mean, they always rave about Zelda. I would have like for me personally, I would have that's a 95, I reckon, minimum.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely I could see that. Gonna go safe though. I'm gonna lock it in at a 93. I would love for it to get a 95, 97, whatever. That's that would definitely put my team over the top a little bit, but I'll lock it in at a 93 just to be safe, just in case there is a reviewer out there who's like, hey, and I think of is supposed to be capitalized, isn't it? Tears of the Kingdom, the first letter, the O, if I'm not mistaken. No, is it?
No, I don't believe so.
No,
That
yeah,
looks
no.
strange.
Okay. Yeah, hey, look, we're working on a budget here, and I'm not the brightest crayon in the coloring box. So you're gonna see some misspelling over here. You're gonna see some.
That's 100% fine, right? That was because I need to tick the. I did have it on my list. I was never choosing it, but I need to make sure that I don't. These are off.
Oh, for Zelda.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, it's you, man. Fourth pick. We're getting down to the final six here.
I'm thinking like a dragon Ishin
Oh,
is going to be that next one. Got to give my
good.
love to I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of the studio, but they know who they are. The boys that made Yakuza and the boys that you love, and that's Judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? Ryu Gagotu? Gagotu? I shouldn't have tried
Gago
either.
Gagocha or something.
Yeah, that
something
so
like that.
this is the Japanese release coming to the West this year, correct?
So this game originally launched on the PlayStation 3, and this is a remake of that, to my knowledge,
Yeah, I believe it is.
because the Yakuza games became so damn popular, they ended up doing spin-offs of them. That was one of them. The other one was Yakuza Dead Souls, I believe, which is a zombie uh like centered one where it's in Kamurocho and stuff and things have gone down, which unfortunately I've played neither because they are not on Xbox, and I only started experiencing Yakuza from the PS4, and I don't think you can play them on there, to my knowledge. But this is huge. Like
Yeah.
how well um Yakuza 7 did on Xbox as a debut. This has to continue that ball because people are hungry for it.
Yeah, yeah, I think this will review really well. Well, what you locking in for that prediction for Ishin?
86, I think. Like I'm hoping like this is because stuff that is set in like the I don't even know how you would like describe it. Like the Tsushima period and stuff, they always seem to like because it's so stylistic, they go
Totally.
down well with critics. Um, their combat system is top class to begin with. Like there's no doubt. If you go in there and that combat is bad, it's they didn't make it. Simple as that.
So this is they're going back to like the real time action and this it's not turn based, correct?
I believe this one is going back to the normal combat. The what is the other one called?
The what
The eighth installment is going to be turn-based though. Um, I
yeah,
can't. The name escapes me. Whatever it is,
I
where it
know what you're
has Kiryu coming back.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. I think that new kind of their mainline series is going in the direction of the turn-based stuff, and
Yeah,
then
unfortunately.
yeah, I'm with you.
It was a good game, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it would have suited. I would have rather them do the turn-based with this Ishin game. I would rather have them done that. But the sales don't lie. Like it still sold extremely well, and people were happy with it.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm with you though. Of like, I would probably prefer the side projects to be the turn-based
Yeah.
stuff, and then yeah. Although Judgment, keep that just as it is. I absolutely love that shit. I hope we get a lot more of it. But that's a good pick. Like a Dragon Ishin, your fourth pick on the board for me. Number four. I my brain is split on a few different directions here. There's a part of me where I think if I make a decision and I'm totally not going with my heart, if I make this decision, I think I could steal the draft right here.
Uh-oh.
But it's just a decision I really don't have a lot of. You know what? I'm not going to go with it because I just don't have that passion for it. And then, of course, we're trying to win, but I want to look back at my team and be like, hey, that's a team that's somewhat reflective of some games I actually, want to play as well. So for
We
my
may have
fourth pick,
lost, but by God, they're my players.
exactly. Yeah, what my team, I want to go down with my team if we're going to go down. So I'm going down with Final Fantasy 16. If we go down and Final Fantasy 16, the only reason I even have any worries with that is uh, it what is it's scheduled for a summer release, I believe.
Mhm.
And I think it will hit. I could see it maybe getting one push, but I don't think even if it's pushed again, I still think it will fall in 2023. So I'm not too worried about that. I think it will review pretty well. I don't think it will review as well as the game I was about to select. I look, I'm going to say this right now. If you don't pick the game I was about to pick, I'm picking it for my number 5 pick. And hey, sometimes you go out there, you're selecting a player, you know it's not somebody you want on your team, but he's
Oh God, this is.
too damn good to pass up on.
I mean, you say this, there's so many good picks.
Yeah, I think this one when it if you don't pick it and you see my pick, you're gonna be like, okay, that
No,
makes sense.
maybe.
It just the first one review or damn, I'm giving away too much. Final
Oh,
Fantasy
oh, oh.
Final Fantasy 16. That's my pick. I'm locking it in. The game looks so damn good. I like that more, with the chocobo slaughter and the chocobo, the blood popping up on the kid's face. Like it looks dark as hell, a total different tone and aesthetic for Final Fantasy. It with and you also have the lead combat designer from Devil May Cry, I believe, working on the combat here. So just this is speaking to my soul, man. I really think I'm gonna love this game. I loved the Final Fantasy VII remake, and it performed incredibly well. So I'm locking in 16, and I'm gonna lock in a 90 for my Metacritic prediction.
I mean, that's respectable. Oh,
Yeah.
damn. Um, I don't think I could argue with that, especially because I think the person who, like you said, with the combat is the Devil May Cry guy. I
Mm-hmm.
think what's the director is the guy who did 14.
14. Yep, you're 100%
Literally
right.
dug them out of the fire with that. He was
Yep.
the only person to be like, let's actually innovate instead of just sticking to what we know. Let's look outside for inspiration and look at that. Like, what was it last year? They had to literally shut down the ability to buy the game because they didn't want your money because they couldn't handle it. Like that's insane to think of. I can't even think of like when World of Warcraft, if that's ever had to do that.
That's so crazy, man. It
That's
was
baffling.
such a huge hit, man. And to think what he can do in the single player space is
Mm.
so compelling with that narrative. But we'll see, man. I think it is going to be really good. Am I a little bit worried about it? Maybe slipping out of 2023, slightly, but not enough to pass up on it. I do think it will hit 2023. So that's my fourth pick. What you got for number five?
You may, I don't know if this was the game, but like I had my list split into things that have release dates and then things that, to my knowledge, don't. Maybe this does. Maybe something's come out in the recent thing. Alan Wake 2.
Oh, okay. That okay. Yeah, you got to expand on that one for me. That is very surprising for me.
Control. Do I need to say any more? Like, Remedy are just on fire. Like, I was one of the people that was pushing for people to buy Quantum Break. No one purchased that game for whatever reason. No idea why. No one
Yeah,
bought it. It was just as good. Have you played Quantum Break?
I haven't. No, I need to though.
Oh, I think it must be in Game Pass. It was their own, like Microsoft funded it.
I believe I have a copy of it. I'm pretty sure I have a copy of it on Xbox.
It's very good. If you enjoyed Control, like it's a lot more like linear in like the way
Hmm.
the story is told. It's more like level based, but the powers and the gunplay that you expect from Remedy is there.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do with this is the thing because the original game they said it was a horror game. Like it didn't feel that way to me though.
They
It
said
felt a
that
lot lighter.
they said they're leaning into survival horror full stop for Alan Wake
Yeah,
2. So that does give me hope. The only thing I wonder about is do you think it's releasing in 2023?
I'm really holding out hope
Yeah.
because when did Control come out? 2019, 2018?
2019. Yeah.
That's a long time. Because that Ultimate Edition that they re-released, yeah, they had to do some stuff with the engine.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
still a decent amount of time.
And then the Alan Wake
Maybe
remaster.
maybe too much of a hope, but
The
if anyone can
only
do it, Remedy can do it.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me a little bit skeptical of it is they said that they were still targeting a 2023 date. This was a few months ago, and then they didn't pop up at the Game Awards. I believe the first time Alan Wake popped up, it was at last year's Game Awards. And if I'm
Mhm.
thinking, okay, you're going to release in 2023, wouldn't you at least want that 12-month buildup of your marketing cycle? But to be fair, we just saw Jedi Survivor really revealed for the first time, which I know it had a logo reveal earlier, but we got a first real reveal of it at the Game Awards, and it's releasing just a few months later. It's releasing in March or whatever. And so, could Alan Wake pop up at E3 and then release 4 months later, come in for a October holiday, Halloween release? Like
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
I'm hoping for that. And this is what I was when we brought up the last video that we did together. I think I said like that is my preferred style of. I want it as short as possible. I
Yeah,
don't like sitting on these things because gaming, as growing as it is, you just forget some of these things that come out because they just get pushed aside because the next best thing gets pushed in front of you and then that gets pushed. So they've shown us that it's in development. I'm really hoping it is hitting for like a Halloween release. That would be just perfect.
totally. Yeah, and I mean, I think that you make a really good point about Control, with Control reviewing so damn well. It seems like Remedy kind of found their footing, and even with the remaster of Alan Wake, I think there was a yearning for that, obviously, which is leading to this game. So maybe the combined polish of something like a Control, and obviously it's not going to be as frenetic and action packed, but the combined the polish, the fluidity of the movement, the gunplay that they found with Control, and then combining that in a survival horror world, this could turn out really well. So, what you predicting for the Metacritic on it?
Thinking an 87. I think it
87.
will do better than Control because I do remember Control launching and having like really bad bugs.
Yeah,
Um, that remaster of Alan Wake, I don't think it had any performance bugs at all. So I
no,
think, especially with how much goes on in Control as well, like how much of the environment's destructible, I don't think there'll be that level of destructibility in Alan Wake 2. So it'll be easier to. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just blow us all away, and
Alan
who knows?
Wake's.
They're such a great developer, so I have faith in them.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really compelling pick. That's one that I want to be right there with you with that same level of faith, and I do have that level of faith in Control or in Remedy. I just don't. I would be a little bit worried about hitting that 2023 date, but like you said, man, we're starting to see those announcements to release windows shrinking a little bit more than we used to. So hopefully that can Alan Wake 2 can fit that trend as well. But
I don't know what this game is that you're picking.
man,
I
it,
really thought it was Alan Wake 2 as well.
you see it's popping up on the screen right now. Hollow Knight.
You really think that's coming out? That's a myth. That doesn't exist. How
It,
could you do this to me?
the only
Silk Song, my man.
the only reason I even and look, we all know everything smoke and mirrors, but when you remember that Xbox Bethesda E3 from last year, or
Yeah,
whatever the hell it was, the showcase from last year,
yeah.
they said everything at this showcase will be from the time of this showcase will have released in a year span. So theoretically, by the time of the next showcase for when they do their E3 2023, the Xbox Bethesda E3 2023, everything at the 2022 showcase, once again, theoretically, should have already released. That was their
Hmm.
that was their wording, not mine. Hollow
Hmm.
Knight Silk Song was at the showcase, revealed to be coming to Game Pass day one, which is crazy. That's such a
I
huge deal.
forgot that is so huge of a get.
Huge,
Jesus
man.
Christ.
And the first game reviewed gangbusters. It was, I mean, critically beloved. And I can't see. You know what? I'm gonna pull up to see what that first one, because I didn't think there's any chance I'd be able to grab it. But let's see what that first
I feel bad.
let's see, Metacritic.
I mean, this just shows, though,
Yeah,
at the same time, just how many great things we have to choose. Is that, you know,
yeah.
all of these are great picks,
Hollow Knight
and
is
there's still
sitting,
plenty.
yeah, 87 on PC, 90 on Switch. So I think that this is maybe not quite on that level, but I'm going at 80. I'm going at 88, locking it in at an 88. And
You
I'm
don't
I'm
think it'll be better?
look, here's my thing. I always like to go lower on the sequel to be safe.
Wow.
It's just kind of I don't know. It's just I think I'm a little bit more on the conservative side with some of these predictions in general. Like Dead Space, I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, yeah, that probably will be 87, 88 ish. But I'm gonna be safe. I'm gonna be on the lower side here. And I'm going to be safe. I could see it being a 90, though. I definitely could see that. And hey, I'll take my what was the damn rule that we had here? I already forgot the damn rules. If we get okay, 1 point if we are three or less off
Yeah.
from the score. So if I can get an extra point out of it, I'll take it
You
because
know
really,
what? Yep, that's fair.
yeah, and at the end of the day, the thing that we're counting on the most is that these games, they just review really well because those, an extra 5 points, 3 point, 1 point here and there for predicting the score is great, but having that 88 to add on top of that 90 for Final Fantasy, to add on top of that 93 for Zelda, like that's what I'm really hoping for more than anything. I'm hoping to if it's above that 88, anything above it, I'm just sitting back happy as can be. So I'm taking my Hollow Knight Silk Song. Like you said, though, there is fair reason to be concerned that it just does not release at all ever, and it's totally a made up mythological fucking creature.
Okay. Um. Oof. This is either gonna go like I'm definitely playing risky with these picks. Like Diablo 4 is what I'll lock in here
I It wasn't
because
going to
either
be long.
this is gonna be great or it's gonna be the death of the series.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's a good pick. I think I really do think that game's going to be good. I think that's a solid pick.
as long as they get, I think it's gonna take a few hits in the review department because of how they're monetizing it with it's releasing with a battle pass and stuff like that, and they usually knock points off for it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good point that I really didn't think about with the monetization and just with the kind of Blizzard's reputation in general. I
yeah, they are on the
yeah.
floor right now, and Sony is just stomping on them,
Yeah.
asserting dominance. But it's still a mainline Diablo game, and even as bad as Diablo 3 was at launch, it it's still a very good game. Um, do I think it will be better than Diablo 3? I mean, I hope so, because it's been they've been working on this for ages, it feels like. I don't know about you. Like
Yeah, definitely.
it's been so I'm gonna go like 89.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's dude, I could see it. I could see it. There is a huge fan base for those games, and it's just one of those worlds that you can get sucked into for hundreds and thousands and just lose your
Yep.
life to those Diablo games. So it's
As a Diablo 3 vet, I can agree.
yeah.
Reaching max with each character, it's a long process.
So what you can, since I'm not as familiar with the Diablo games, I played some of 3 with a buddy, but
Huh?
when I saw 4 revealed it once again at that Xbox Bethesda showcase, which is a great showcase, I was so wowed by the visuals and the open world and the fidelity. Like I was not expecting this game to have any sort of graphical wow factor at
Yeah,
all.
it's because like the second game was a lot more like grounded in reality, and then they chose for the third game to make it more stylized, and it actually took a lot of hits from the community because of that. A lot of people weren't happy with the way it looked. It looked
Mm,
cartoonish. It looked childlike. They've gone back to this where it looks crisp. It looks much. It basically looks like what you'd have expected Diablo 2 to move on from to be Diablo 3, is what I think a lot of people were hoping.
okay.
Um, I do think it's going to be good though. It has to
Yeah.
be.
I don't see a world where that game doesn't review pretty damn well. So we're getting to that point in the draft where I'm I have some things on my list that I'm really curious to see how they do, and I think that they should do well, but it's like I'm not super confident in selecting them. I'm gonna go over this list real quick. As I said, guys, we're doing everything live on the fly here, just kind of rambling and rambling
Oh,
our
what
way
better
through it.
way to do it?
Yeah, I I love doing it. Like I can see why some people do it where they select it, they select it, then do the recording. That way everything's a little bit quicker. But I kind of like the spontaneity of trying to go through and make the tough decisions on the fly
Yeah.
here. It's just, yeah, it's a fun little mental exercise in the release schedule for 2023 and trying to pick out the best game. I look, man, I'm going with this could so bite me in the ass. But I just think that if PSVR 2 is going to be anything, it's going to have to be on the back of that Horizon game. And look, there's some picks that I would like to take over Horizon. I'm going to be totally real. There's some things on my list that I would like to take personally over Call of the Mountain, but
Mhm.
I'm just going to put Horizon VR. That way,
Yep.
people know what it is. But um, there's some things I would rather take. Like, am I invested in Call of the Mountain at all? Am I signing up to go and get PlayStation VR 2? No, they need more software. They need something else to pull me in. But if that thing is because it's the only game, it's like the only big title launching with PSVR 2. So it's
Mm.
like it's all dependent upon that one game. So I'm hoping they got a damn good game on their hands, because if they don't, that is a head scratcher of all head scratchers. It, especially when there's just not that audience. Like the PSVR 1 didn't sell gangbusters. It's not, that audience isn't there just salivating at the potential of a PSVR 2. So you got to have something big like a Half-Life Alyx style game to really get people in there. Will
Yeah.
Call of the Mountain be that? I have no idea, but I'm taking it, and I'm going to go, look, I'm going to go low. I'm going to go at 83. I think if it's going to be that game, it has to be 88, 89 or better to really, I think, because I'm going to be totally real. If Horizon Call of the Mountain comes out and people are like, this is a revelation, this is changing the way VR is handled in the game space, the same type of stuff that was said about Half-Life Alyx, if it's on that level, I'll probably buy a damn headset. But I'm not,
I don't think it will be.
yeah, I'm not quite.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't feel like that. Did the original VR headset get a Horizon game, or is this the first?
It's the first one, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
And to be fair, it looks, I believe it's Firesprite developing it, and they're an esteemed developer, and it looks really damn good. But I don't know, like, the linear nature of, like, I don't know how linear it's going to be. How much freedom do you have in that VR world? Like, there are some things where I'm looking at them like it looks a little bit more on rails than I would like. There's some things that have me skeptical, but I I'm banking on the fact that if they're so confident that they think they can release this system with just this game as being like the big tantalizing offer, then maybe there's something there that I'm not sure of yet. That's kind of my only
Yeah.
hope. So we're
Yeah, I'm
heading.
not too hot on VR personally, so I didn't
Not
buy the
either.
first one. I don't even like. It's just not appealing to me. Even if it is like, I can appreciate like what Half-Life Alyx is, but even like, so even if it was on like Xbox, I don't know. Like, just VR isn't my type of thing. But this does need to be that next best thing if they want to push it as a piece of hardware that they want to support. Because if you're just going to be putting out low 70s, like who's going to buy a $500 headset for
So
what they can just play on a controller?
yeah, no, I'm totally with you 100%. And it's the thing too of like if Half-Life Alyx was available for PSVR 2 along with this game, then like I'm probably in out the gate and I'll just pick up Horizon as kind of like a side piece. It's like
Mm.
no problem whatsoever because I would like to dive into Half-Life Alyx, but like that's not there. And there's these things missing that it's just it is what it is. So I'm just hoping that Horizon Call of the Mountain is a huge hit and then takes my team to the next level. What you got for me for your number seventh pick or your seventh
I
pick?
mean, as you're supporting Team PlayStation, I guess I'll pull one out for Team Microsoft, and
Uh,
we'll drop Starfield
okay.
right in
Okay.
there. I'm sorry, I know.
Yeah. That's
I know
probably
you're
my
a
most
lot more pumped about it than I am, but I do think the more I've watched it, I think it's going to be a stronger Bethesda release than they usually have because they have something to prove now. Like 76 was a joke. It was a laughing stock. They may have not like put I don't know if it's come out like they didn't have their A team on it and it was a side thing or whatever, but like they're a laughing stock. Um, they need to prove themselves now that not Bethesda, sorry, Microsoft have Obsidian. Because
yes.
Microsoft aren't like they're going to be like, look, man, like you've made the Fallout games and they're good, but like they've made the original ones, some of these developers, and they had a crack at New Vegas, which is considered the best Fallout game. So
Yeah.
they need to like pull out the big guns for this.
Yeah, and not to
They
mention
need,
in Exile over there too.
yeah,
They
they've
got the
just gobbled up all of the greats. It's crazy.
crazy, man. Their RPG output. I mean, I can't imagine that by the end of this generation, we're not looking at like some of the greatest RPGs uh, of the generation all being exclusive to Xbox with In Exile, Obsidian, with you're gonna have your new Outer Worlds 2, Avowed, and then whatever In Exile's working on, supposedly a first person shooter RPG. And then with Starfield here, the question I have for you with Starfield, and then Starfield's probably my most anticipated. I gotta really go through my list and boil it down, but I do you think this is gonna sound crazy, but hear me out. Do you think there's any chance that this game doesn't release in 2023?
No, they can't afford that. They they botched this holiday release, Microsoft. They're probably they were probably confident that Bethesda could get it out as well because they did their whole like 11/11 crap, which they usually do, and it's just like, yeah, that means that we're definitely coming out. And then they were like, guys, we ain't got this.
So here's my theory on that. My theory is that if it was up to Bethesda, that game would have came out on 11/11/22. But I think Microsoft or Xbox, whoever, Matt Booty,
Really?
I really do. Because I think with the launch of Halo and being like, okay, guys, just wait a little bit. We'll get all this content put in for you. Just give us some time. I don't think they wanted another one of those where Starfield comes out. It has that kind of cyberpunky effect where it's like, there's a good game in here, but give us time to get it to be the game that we really, really want it to be. I don't think that Matt Booty, whoever, was allowing this is just theoretical, like totally my theory here. I have no insight into any of this, but I just have that feeling of Xbox being like,
Maybe. Yeah. Giving
because
it more thought.
yeah, because Bethesda they'll put out some buggy shit and then just patch it over time. Have modders go in and do the cleanup work. Do you, let me ask you this though: if it does come out in 2023, do you see it coming out before that June-ish window or before that July-ish window when they do their E3 thing, or do you think this will be like a holiday
I think it's
2023
going to
game?
be a holiday. Does it already have a locked-in release,
Well,
or is it
once
light?
yeah, it's going back to that thing of when they did that showcase saying everything here will be out.
Okay, okay.
It's
No,
like,
that's not coming out, I don't think.
yeah, that's my thing.
It doesn't suit their release windows. They always drop holiday. And why would you what else do they have next year? Microsoft, like big hitters. Why wouldn't you just take the hit and get them holiday sales, which will sell more, you would think.
Yeah, you would think in a perfect world, I could see this coming out alongside because they have two other games that are locked for 2023 that there should be locked for 2023 that we know of. I won't go into those because I think I am going to pick one of them, but yeah, I do agree with you. Starfield being a holiday game that just makes more sense to me than anything else. So
Feels natural.
what are you
Um,
thinking for the score here though? Because that's I'm real curious to hear your answer on this.
this is the thing, like they're so we because we're choosing the highest, you said, it's not going to be like add them all up and divide them by the number.
Right.
So it's not going to be punished by,
Xbox One performance now.
yeah. I could see this being like a high 80s because things like Fallout 4 on certain what do you call it, consoles like reviewed really well, whereas on like PC it took major hits.
Yeah.
Like an 88,
Okay. Locking
I
in.
don't think it breaches 90 because that's you're talking like uber greats, and I don't think I'm sorry, but I don't think any Bethesda game reaches that heights,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Which critically, you have your stuff like Skyrim out there that have hit those nines, but I just kind of wonder because we know it's going to have technical problems like all Bethesda games have, but I don't know if critics are going to be as lenient as they used to be, especially in a world where, you know, bigger games are happening more and more frequently. And of course, they have technical problems for sure, but the level of technical problems that Bethesda puts out at launch is pretty pretty significant. But dude,
Yeah.
I can't sit here and lie to you and say like that is probably my most anticipated game of 2023. Just the idea of that what they create with that sense of wonder and then being able to achieve that possibly in space, creating your own spaceship, customizing it like that is a dream game, dude. Like the Han Solo simulator.
Oh, see, all these things just sound good, but can is are they the dev that can do it? Is the question that people need to be asking. Like, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Have to wait.
That's just it.
It's a totally fair, it's a totally fair question to be asked. I totally agree. Are they still that Skyrim Fallout 3 era Bethesda? This is kind of what they're proving with this release, or hopefully proving with this release.
Mm.
So my seventh pick, I I I, I think that I'm gonna stay in the Game Pass. You know what? I think I'm actually gonna go first party
Ooh,
Xbox here. And this is not a glamorous pick. It's not a pretty pick, but it's one to get me some points on the board. Going with old Forza
that is not
Motorsport.
the one I was expecting.
Yeah, I know what you're expecting. And I'm hyped for that game as well. There at least some level of hype for it. What is this? Forza Motorsport. Which number are we at? Seven? Forza
Must
Motorsport
be
eight?
eight. I
Eight.
think it's
Okay.
eight.
Um, look, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I'm picking a free agent here. I'm picking him up off the sidelines. It's not a player I'm personally invested in, but I want this on my team because I know it's going to come in and put up some numbers for me. These games just perform well. and I with the visual fidelity of your Forza Horizon 5s, like that was unbelievably beautiful, like unbelievably beautiful. And
Yeah.
that was a game that was totally unrestricted, these open world environments, to see what they can do with a more structured, like it's all based on these different tracks. And so I can't imagine how detailed and specific those cars are going to look and shit in Forza Motorsport 8. It's going to be a beautiful game. And once again, when we're talking about the critics, you have your Souls guys, you have your Nintendo guys, you have your this, your that,
Yeah.
you have your racing guys, and they love this type of shit, the super semi, very hyper realistic stuff. They get into that. So I'm going with an 87 here. And it could be even higher, but I'm going with an 87. I think Forza Horizon 5 was in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I got some questions for
Okay, hit
that.
me, hit me.
So, have you played the Motorsport series?
No, I have no
You know,
interest, and I'm not
no.
going to play this one probably. I don't
We're
like the
bringing him
sim.
in for stat padding, boys. That's
That's
what we
it,
got him
man.
for. Right. So the comparisons to Horizon always does better because it's much more casual to get into.
Mm.
Um, it's why it hits them numbers because they essentially, like, not to be horrible, they have made essentially the same game. There's only so much you can do with a racing game, but that formula that they found with Horizon is spot on. Like,
Totally.
it's it's literally a sandbox racing game, which is insane to think about. Like, uh the previous entry, it had a battle royale mode that was actually enjoyable. Like, in a racing game, that's crazy to think about. The
Insanity.
Motorsport series, it always looks pretty, but people are getting more and more worn down as time goes on. It's starting to hit them levels of like, ugh, it's another sports game, like on a yearly thing. It may not be on a yearly release, but what can you do with a simulation racer?
Yeah.
Um, their career modes are always very weak, and that's what usually carries it. It's either you go down the career mode route or you heavily invest in the multiplayer and hope that it gets esported.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. The only thing I'll say to push back on that a little bit though is that Forza Motorsport 7 is sitting at an 86, and that's an Xbox One title. And like you said,
That's
totally
disgusting. That's awful.
I totally get though. I totally get that the more you from 7 to 8, that could be the turning point where people are like, look, man, it's too much of the same thing. But to be totally fair, it's been since 2017, and there is that thing of what have you done for me lately? And if it's
Yeah,
if there's been that separation where people have forgot kind of the ins and outs of Forza Motorsport, and they just go back to they go back to it for the first time in 5 years or so, and it's this new next gen Forza, the same way with Forza Horizon 5. It's that next gen power that kind of pushed it over the top. And that's kind of my thinking there is like, maybe it's just a safe pick to go, hey, it's more Forza with a next gen, with the next gen
yeah.
capabilities. So that's kind of my thinking there for going to 87.
No, that 87, do you know what? Upon hearing that how the hell 7 got 86 is beyond me with that game. It was like at the forefront of like the loot box controversy when that was at its peak. Like, they were really trying to squeeze money, so I'm shocked it even landed that high. So, do you know what? I'll take the L there. I will be shocked if that review's worse than it then.
Okay,
Sure.
cool. You,
87.
you relieve me a little bit there, man, because I don't know a lot about this world of the Forza. And you know what? I say that I won't play the game, but like it's on Game Pass. If it comes out in a month, it's not just like totally bombarded with, if it's not coming out in March or February or May, if it's coming out in a slower month, what does it hurt to check it out? Like I was interested in checking out Gran Turismo, but am I going to like I'm not going to pay $70. I'm not that interested, but
Mm,
on Game Pass,
mm.
sure, I'll check out Forza Motorsport 8. No problem, sir, at all. But speaking of number 8, we are on to your number 8th. Jesus Christ, I keep saying number 8th, number 7th. We're on to your number 8 selection in the draft today. What you got for number 8? What's in your brain right now? What you thinking?
I'm tossed between a brand new IP or one that has like 20 entries in its series, but still is going strong to this day.
Okay.
And I think I'm gonna go with Assassin's Creed Mirage
Ooh.
because
Ooh.
it's a safe pick. You've had some safe picks. I think I'll throw in a few safe picks. As much as Valhalla was grating to people, look how many copies it sold. It's the best selling Assassin's Creed game to date.
Yeah.
Um, and
I,
even with all of its flaws, it's still a good game. It just is bloated to all hell. And they say that they're addressing that.
that was exactly what I was about to hit on right there. Is I think we're about to be surprised by this game. This was very, very high on my list. Like this was going to get picked by me. By the time we got to 10, I was going to take this. So I think you made a good selection there because I think that Ubisoft is going to be pleasantly surprised by how well this is received because I think it's a $49.99 game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're charging full price. And I think that whenever people sit down and they get this 10-hour, whatever, 8 to 10 hour game, I think people are going to be like, damn, this was a really nice this was a really nice little twist. We're expecting these 80-hour big juggernauts for Assassin's Creed. And I think people are going to really be into a more stealth focused, kind of old school Assassin's Creed feel. Now, do they nail that? That's to be seen. I could see this
Yeah.
not being totally old school Assassin's Creed, but I think just not being as bloated, like you said, I think that's going to work in Ubisoft's favor here for sure.
They need to reshuffle the way they make games because how they've handled these new games, this trilogy of open world Assassin's Creed games, the reason it also feels so damn bloated is because it's not one developer working on it. The way they make the map is how they break up what studio gets what, which is what I found interesting. I remember watching a video on it. Like you have entire studios just working on like the northern part of the map. They never see any other part of the game because they have thousands upon thousands, and that's how they churn them out so quick. They're so
Damn.
big, and yeah, they can have bugs, but they're nowhere near as buggy as like a Bethesda game. And it's why it's because they have so many studios and they break them up like that. They're efficient with it, but with that comes, you know, that's essentially free games in one if you think about it. That's free developers making their own spin on something,
I
almost.
I did not know that, but now that makes a whole lot more sense why everything in
Mm.
Ubisoft's portfolio gets delayed one after
Yeah,
another. They're all working on new damn maps for Assassin's Creed.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What you thinking for the score on this, man? This is interesting because they review like correct me if I'm wrong, but don't all the Assassin's Creed games from like 2017 with the Origins to 2019, no, 2018 with Odyssey, and then with 2020 with
Mhm.
Valhalla, like didn't they all review pretty well?
Yeah, like mid 80s.
So
Um, on average, I think it should do better than that because people are going to be tired of it. I think it's going to get that bump up in thing because it's going to be like it's actually different, guys. If it is actually different,
I'm thinking the same.
I think it's just a solid 85. Like I don't have faith in them to actually create a stealth system that could rival something like how Splinter Cell felt because they don't have that DNA anymore.
Totally. It's funny that you say that too because like I think I'm exactly on the same wavelength where I don't trust Ubisoft to pull it off, But if they did pull it off, I could see this possibly being like an 8-8, 8-9 range. But I
Yeah.
think a 8-5 is just a very safe, like if it doesn't totally pull it off, it gets knocked to an 8-3. No harm, no foul. If they do pull it
Mm.
off, it gets bumped to an 8-8. You still get points either which way. So yeah, I think that 8-5 is a perfect kind of in the middle range for Mirage. I think that's a really good pick. Now, for my eighth pick, I think I'm going to take the game that you were going to take, a new IP. And let me know if this is right. Going with Lies of P. Is
Oh,
that
it actually isn't. Damn.
Oh, damn, I let you get off the hook. Okay. Because look, I'm not gonna lie. When you said new IP, Lies of P might have been like ninth or tenth for me. I wasn't gonna take it eighth, but when you said new IP, I was like, I gotta snatch this thing because this looked unbelievable when it was shown off, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And like that whole idea of a narrative focused Souls where you're making the decisions, you can lie and deceive people, and like the whole Pinocchio angle, like that is
Mm.
so
It's a
damn
very,
interesting.
yeah, it's a very unique spin on it. And if they can
Very.
pull it off, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, man. And
Who's
that
developing it?
I don't even know actually. I think it's a new developer if I'm not mistaken. Let's pull it up.
Because they had
Live
a bunch of because Spiders already had their game come out, didn't they? That was,
Steel Rising, yeah.
yeah, that was similar to it in that
Let's
kind of
see.
vein.
It is being published by NeoWiz Games, developed by NeoWiz Games, and Round 8 Studio. Do you know who NeoWiz Games are?
I know who Neo Core
Let's see. NeoWiz Games. Oh shit, they got some stuff on their website talking about the blockchain and
Oh no. What have you done?
oh no, man. So
Their games are not it.
yeah, they have Bless Unleashed
Um,
now on
that's an
PC,
MMO.
Brave 9, Dandy Ace. Uh, yeah, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know any of this stuff. I'm, I'm
I
not.
know, I
Oh,
know Bless
Unsold.
Unleashed and Cross. Is this the Crossfire like thing that I played? It is. Uh,
Oh boy, I might have messed up a little bit there.
no, no, because it does. I will admit, it does look good.
Yeah,
Maybe this is their thing where they break out and it's like,
damn it.
guys, we can actually make games. I swear.
I wasn't even super passionate about that damn pick, and now I'm regretting it. Oh man, hey, it's locked in. It's on the board. I'm not taking it back. But you know what I am gonna do? I'm gonna adjust my thoughts for the Metacritic here. Look, everybody gets their big. Look, I mean, think about Rockstar. They're working on those top-down isometric, and I always bring this up. They're working on those
Yeah,
top-down isometric Grand Theft Auto games, and then 2001 or whatever, GTA 3 comes out, and it takes the world by storm, and it changed the fate of that studio forever. And like these things happen, they happen all the time. And like I'm not saying Lies of P is going to hit those heights, but it looks incredible. And all the rage, like we're saying, this is the meta game of the fantasy draft, is predicting how reviewers are going to react to things. And once again, this is a very specific type of reviewer, the Soulsborne guys. But to my own kind of counter argument here is now we've had such a wide pool of Souls like games, is to the point where I think games can get knocked because there's such a high bar set by a few of them. And if you don't reach the heights of Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne or Elden Ring, it's like, because even you maybe look at something like Jedi Fallen Order of it not quite hitting that bar, trying, to dabble a little bit in the Souls combat system, and then maybe
yeah.
not executing to the highest level. Did that knock it back to a 7? Not like I'm not saying that definitively, but it's it could be. But if it nails that Souls like combat, then Lies of P is sitting at a probably a 85 or better, I'd say. But to be safe, going to 82.
I think that's reasonable. Because I was gonna interject with they're very, very critical Souls reviewers. They know what they like. So many people were so geared up, ready to hate on Elden Ring because he was saying it's going to be an open world and it's going to have all these different changes. We're we're glad to be proven wrong,
Totally.
but there's so many things that have come out. It shocks me that Lords of the Fallen is getting a reboot because it got so hammered in the reviews and by people, like even the fans, like they just didn't like it. They didn't receive it well because it was like it's trying to be Dark Souls. It came from that era. Now we've had more. Maybe people are a little bit more lenient on it, but I
Yeah.
don't see that getting any higher than an 82. I don't
Yeah.
think.
That makes sense. I remember the buzz surrounding, oh man, Gamescom, I believe, when Lies of P was shown off in a big way with the gameplay. I remember people buzzing about that game, and I'm hoping to ride that momentum. And it's a thing where this doesn't even have a locked in release date, so this might not drop in 2023. This I could see this being, out of everything I selected here, maybe other than Hollow Knight, maybe the most likely to make me use an alternate. But we shall see.
Just to make us feel even worse as well. Steel Rising is sitting at 72, and
Ooh,
that was like actually a fairly decent Souls-like.
okay.
Do you know if this is going to have multiplayer? This is a big thing for Souls things. Do you know if Lies of P has co-op or PvP?
No, I don't think it
Okay.
does. I'll Google it just to see Lies of P multiplayer. Let's see if it anything pops up on that.
Because that is
Hmm,
an easy way to score like brownie points with.
it doesn't look like it does.
Uh,
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
Lies of P. Not gonna do well, brother. I'm sorry.
is multiplayer mode available in Lies of P? If you're also having similar question in mind, continue. Jesus Christ, continue reading this article. Just it's a yes or no.
No, they gotta clickbait. They need them clicks. They
Oh my
need them
God, they're like
ads.
really expanding that. I'm on to paragraph 3. Holy shit. Lies of P multiplayer mode. Multiplayer mode is a living trend in the gaming community. Many players check the
Oh my
availability of this
God.
mode before playing a game. The multiplayer mode lets you play against or with players in real. Are you kidding me? But would Lies of P have this mode? As mentioned above, this game also follows a single character and a fixed story. Therefore, adding multiplayer mode is not an option left for the. Okay, thank you. We're good. We're good.
Jesus Christ, this guy. What was that website? Who did that?
Should I even blast? I exited out of it. Let's see.
Okay.
I think it was called Digi Statement. No, no. Hey,
Um,
get your bag. I'm not hating on you, but Jesus Christ, come on, man, come on.
Jesus.
That's a lot of words
We're
to
meant
just
to
say
be the
no.
ramblers, not you. We come for you for the info.
Sweet. Yeah,
Right.
right. What?
This, I'm gonna do the other pick that I didn't get to because you didn't choose it. I'm actually shocked you haven't chosen this because if I remember correctly, you were pretty big on Judas getting a reveal.
You think this is dropping 2023?
Not Judas, Atomic Hearts.
Oh, good pick.
It was meant to be out by now, but they pushed it back.
Good pick.
And it is BioShock as hell, is what it looks like. And but it looks a lot more crisper, I have to admit. I don't know, that combat looks really good if they can pull it off. If it's not choppy, there's a
That's
lot of
my thing.
stuff going on.
Mhm.
But if they can nail this, oh, it
Yeah.
looks crisp.
If that thing is like locked in at 60, that's going to be crazy. That combat is going to be insane if they figured out a way to lock that in at 60. I
Mm.
have seen some choppiness with the gameplay that they've revealed. I don't think it'll be to like the I don't think it'll be to a significant, like I don't think it's going to crush the game critically or anything. But
Mm.
with a game that's all about that kind of frenetic action and stuff, it is very reliant on a smooth frame rate. And so I but man, that world looks so damn cool, and
Yeah,
you're
so
totally right.
interesting.
Yeah.
Such a cool design for enemies. And I don't know who Mundfish is, the developer. Oh, okay.
I believe they're a Russian team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It makes sense. People also apparently search for Stalker and stuff, so they're in that kind of ecosystem. I think 84.
84, locking it in. And I actually think that you make a good point there, even while bringing up, your stalkers and games of that ilk. This seems to have a, like you said, BioShock totally, but there also seems to be a level of agency that kind of reminds me of your Dishonored's, if you will, or your Arcane kind of immersive sim. Deus Ex,
Mm.
in that sort of realm of the immersive sim genre. I could see a little bit of that fusing in there with Atomic Heart, which those are some of the most fun damn games to play in the world because it's a totally open ended, like you can handle gameplay however the hell you want to. I love that shit.
Yeah.
So that's a solid pick there for your number 9, Atomic Heart. That's Game Pass day one, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. It's already pre-installed on my console. I'm ready to go.
That's that's a February game.
I believe so. It's very early.
So you're getting points on that regardless. That's
21 February 2023.
nice. Nice, man. So we don't have long to wait for Atomic Heart. I'm
Nope.
really, really pumped for that game. I'm really curious to see, like you said, that enemy variety is so damn unique, and just the world that they've built looks so unique. I'm actually like legitimately pumped to play that game.
Yep.
Okay. Number 9 for me. I feel like such a I'm not being loyal to what I want on my team. And there's a game here. There's a game that I could absolutely put here that will get reviewed really well, but it's not a game I have even the slightest bit of interest in. And this is a risky pick here. I'm gonna go with it. It's risky. I don't know if you saw it today, but or it might have been yesterday actually. Over on Twitter, Insomniac said Spider-Man 2 will be releasing fall 2023. Do I have 100% faith in that? No. But holy mother of God, if that drops in 2023, this is just this year doesn't even make sense. I mean, look at our lists as of now, and there's still, like, I don't know how many games you prepared and then jotted down.
Obscene amount.
I did too. I have 35 games on my list that I'm going through whenever I'm making my selections. And
Yeah.
like these are all, and I'm not talking 35 games that I think are low, but like these are 35 games that I think are in that 80 range or better.
Mm.
It's a crazy, crazy year for video games this year. And if Spider-Man 2 is the icing on the cake to end the year, Spider-Man 2 and Starfield going head to head, the real console wars, if you will, to close out the holiday, that would be just an epic year for all platforms. Everybody will be
Yep.
eating good. And the thing with Spider-Man 2 is that I think what's really going to separate this game, because we've played as Miles, we've played as Peter, 2018 Peter, 2020 Miles. Something I don't think Insomniac's just going to say, okay, well now you get to play as both of them and swap in between them. I don't. They're just too talented. They're too ambitious. I think you're going to get to play as Venom in Spider-Man 2, and I think that is going.
As the fixed main character or as a like swappable?
Yeah, just like a section, like a maybe even a 2 hour or an
Oh,
hour.
okay.
Yeah, just a little part where you get to play as Venom to like maybe rescue Spider-Man, because Venom has like the anti-hero arc. He's always
Hmm.
in and out of the villain and the hero. Like
Yeah.
I and when I think to Ultimate Spider-Man on the PS2, GameCube, Xbox, playing as Venom was so damn fun, and the chaos and carnage you could cause. To realize that in an open world, to possibly add in more destructibility, which is something that they don't have really in Spider-Man 2018 or Miles, to include that in this next gen version, next gen only, PS5 only, for Spider-Man 2. Not coming to damn PS4. We're done. It's over. Let's see what you can really pull off on that PS5 hardware. Let's see if there's some crazy, destructible sandbox that you can put in your game that, maybe it's not like your main section of the game that you have for Peter and for Miles, but like a little off the beaten path thing where you're just allowing Venom to wreck shop in this small sandbox designed for Venom. I don't know how they would pull that off thematically or with the story, but I think we're gonna get to play as Venom for a little bit in Spider-Man 2. So
Yeah, no more Mary Jane stealth sections, please, or whatever it was.
yeah,
That was.
that was rough, man. That, that was really rough.
Can we have Venom instead, please?
Look, man, locking it in at a 90. I know that
Oof.
these I know they
I
don't
I think that's reasonable though.
next gen only. That's kind of the thing that I'm really hanging on here. Venom, that could be, that could not be, but next gen only, that's fact. That's going to be
Yeah.
next gen only. So I think just that alone with the visual upgrades, the which performance wise for the PlayStation 4, those games ran surprisingly well. But
Hmm.
I'm locking it in at a 90 overall for Spider-Man 2.
Because you also make a great point of it being next gen only. Like, there's still people like me. I don't have a PS5, so there's going to be people who are going to be buying the bundle with that as their very first game, just as they did with the PS4 and the original Spider-Man, and it's why it was so beloved. Because you open up
100%.
that console, you slot that in, you're like, let's go. This is amazing.
You're totally right. And by the time Spider-Man 2 comes out, those PS5s will be widely, I would assume they'll be available pretty much anywhere. Like I walked into GameStop last week and I actually saw a couple PS5s sitting there. And this is the second time within the past like 3 months that I've gone into GameStop and saw a PS5 sitting there. So hopefully we're talking, when they say fall 2023, I'm expecting more winter 2023. So November-ish, this game comes out, I would say. And by that time, November 2023, nobody should have a problem getting their hands on a PS5. So hopefully that will go kind of work in tandem here, and a bunch of people get to play it, have a big communal discussion, and that'll kind of raise the profile of the game overall.
Yep.
This is the final pick, man. This is the big bucks right here.
Oh God.
You're sealing your fate. Number 10 on Team Madden Looney. What you thinking?
So what have I got? A JRPG, horror, action, third person. Do you know what I'm missing?
What you missing, man?
CRPG.
Okay.
And what we need is it's gonna be another Warhammer game, but it's gonna be from the guys that made Pathfinder, and it's gonna be Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader.
Okay. Warhammer 40K War Trader.
Rogue Trader.
Okay. 40K Rogue Trader. All right, fill me in a little bit. What's making you hype for this one?
So it's from Alcamp, which, they are very quickly ascending the ladder as being a very reliable developer. Like, if if Larian wasn't making Baldur's Gate 3, they would have been the ones to get that cool.
Okay.
I really do believe that. Um, they're more in the traditional vein of it's not turn-based. They have a turn-based mode, but they prefer to push like the old school, like how Baldur's Gate originally was with real time with pause. It just looks so good because there's nothing better than having a developer who is a fan of the series make a game on that series, and they are huge fans. It's why Larian is taking such great steps with Baldur's Gate 3. It's an honor to make that for them. Of course,
Right.
they love the Divinity series, but it's huge for them. And I don't know, it looks really crisp. From what little that they've shown, it does look really crisp.
Yeah.
However, it's Owlcat. Kingmaker was atrocious at launch. Wrath of the Righteous was atrocious at launch. And then they had the balls to make the console players wait over a year to then give us the day one version of what the PC players had instead of what they were patched up to, and that really hurt.
Yeah.
But I love them too much. Like I just let it slide. It just shows how good their actual games are when you get into them and they're actually working the way they're intended to,
Right. Yeah,
and
that's
they win tons of awards
shit,
from
dude.
people.
That's do you think that, well, thankfully, if it is prioritized for PC, it won't hurt your pick here at all because we're taking the best platform. So if it
Yeah,
ends up, this is actually probably the best example we've had of this so far. Like if this comes out and it's a 87 on PC, but a 64 on console, it won't matter. The 87 will be locked in, So that's kind of why I think it's best to go that route. That way something's not hurt for the performance of other versions of the game. So what are you thinking this thing could sit at on Metacritic?
The Wrath of the Righteous is their best game that they've made, and that's sitting at 83. All they do is grow and grow and grow. I'm thinking 86. I'm really
80s.
thinking it's going to be that big of a jump.
Ooh, that's a big one. That's but I mean, in that vein, like you said, though, those kind of Baldur's Gate style games, like those things review incredibly,
Because
incredibly
it's in that
well.
ecosystem. It's like when a Souls reviewer takes hold of it. Like this isn't going to be for 90% of people. I'm
Totally.
fully aware of that. But for the people that it will be for, it's going to be amazing.
Look, man, you got me reeling here with the 10th selection because you mentioned a game that I totally blanked on with Baldur's Gate 3. Like I'm looking at my list here and I'm like, that's kind of stupid for me not to have that on here.
I wanted to choose it, but I don't think we could. Could we?
Why
It's
not?
already out on PC.
Okay, okay, right. Because of the early access. Yeah,
Would that
that.
have would no, it's fully out on PC. I believe
Oh,
it hit its 1.0 launch, I
oh,
believe.
I didn't even know that. See, I'm not too familiar with that ecosystem at all.
I let me double check if I've botched this and it's not even out. I'm gonna be so mad.
Well, look, I'm not going to take it because I think you with your Warhammer selection, you lit a fire in my soul, man. You lit a fire in my heart. I want to take something that I want on the team. There's a couple
Oh,
picks on
here we
here.
go.
There's a couple picks that I'm not so passionate for, but this next game, it's a small game, but it's something.
Oh,
This is for me, man. This is a me pick. This is absolutely a me pick. This could perform horribly. I'm
I
taking
have not heard
WrestleQuest.
of this.
You gotta peep some gameplay of this. This is old school,
WrestleQuest.
turn-based, kind of like NES inspired wrestling game where you're climbing your way through the ranks in this like I said, NES inspired game with the visuals, but it's you're getting to like create, not create, but you're getting to take your character through the ranks, and you're battling against like Macho Man Randy Savage and Jake the Snake Roberts and all these classic wrestlers in just the cutest little aesthetic. And I think you can kind of make some decisions along the way on like which faction you want to align with. And it's just kind of what I really, of course, I would prefer a real-time action wrestling based story game, but I crave story. I'm a huge old school wrestling fan, but I love the storytelling in wrestling. I think it's something that is just overshadowed way too much, and this is a game that's all about the storytelling in wrestling. So I'm so sold on it.
I'm shocked no one's made this sooner.
Right?
This, like, when you actually break it down and you look at it like a wrestling RPG
That's all
that's
it is.
heavily story, like, why has it taken this long?
It's crazy. It's so crazy. And it's like obviously not graphically intensive on any level. I'm assuming this probably was created on a fairly tight budget. I don't think this took an incredible amount of money to make, but there's so much soul, passion, and flavor in there that's just speaking to me. I can't wait to check this out. It was supposed to come out in 2022. got delayed until 2023. So I'm expecting this to be an early release so it can put some points on the board pretty quickly. And
Yeah,
this is a passion
it's
pick.
May, it says, I think,
Okay, cool.
2023.
Cool.
Is this
Nice.
day one Game Pass? Because it showed at ID at Xbox, which is interesting.
That would be news to me. I'll happily play that mother effer on Game Pass if I can, though. Happily.
It doesn't say that. They've just they're promoting it, which is that's good of them still.
Yeah. I assume it's
Man, what a pick. Would have never guessed that.
yeah. And look, for my Metacritic here, I'm not gonna go bonkers on this. I'm gonna go
99 kicks ass. It's got Randy said.
I'm gonna go 77 on this one. You know, a safe 77. I think it could be higher. I think it could be
Yep.
lower. Going
No, that's
77.
perfect because I could see it breaching. Like if it is genuinely great, it would be a low 80s because it's
Totally.
very niche.
Yeah.
But wow, what a pick.
Well, man, we're in to our alternates. It's time to make the selection because I want to ask you this before we even get into the alternate picks. Out of your team right now, what do you think is the most likely to be delayed into 2024 or just out of 2023 in general?
Alan Wake too.
Okay.
Straight
Okay.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of your team, I would have to
It's
agree. That's
it's more grasping at straws, like really hoping. I don't even know what would be delayed from yours though, to be fair. These were like solid, like I don't think any of them would get delayed.
he, that
Maybe Silk Song because it's just the story of its life.
I think there's actually yeah, no joke. But Spider-Man 2, I think, is a high candidate for getting a delay with announcing a fall release date with no gameplay or nothing. Like I get some
I
Starfield vibes with that, but you know, it's not the same
I
scope
think they
or
want that
scale.
1-2 punch though. God of War last year, here's Spider-Man 2 this year. Like, have that. That's their answer to like just keeping dominance in this market.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's Zelda hasn't shown any gameplay. Like you said, Silk Song, there's a couple in there, but I think overall we both have fairly safe lock-in picks, and then just a couple of maybe slightly skeptical ones. But I think overall, I Alan Wake 2 and maybe Spider-Man, I would say, or like maybe Silk Song, honestly, are
So, sowed the seeds of doubt.
I swear. So to replace Alan Wake 2, what would you be going with for your first alternate selection if you needed it?
Being a child that grew up in the UK, it's actually criminal that it didn't make that top 10 spot. Hogwarts Legacy, I think, needs
Mm,
to take this because there's no way it gets delayed. This is definitely coming out.
totally.
Because they've been very brutal with saying, okay, the next gen versions and PC are coming out. Them Xbox Ones and PS4s can wait. That Switch can wait even longer after that. Like that's three separate launch dates
Yeah.
that they're gonna have to hit.
Yeah. And then they have to do that, man. Like that's they got to quit prioritizing those
Yep,
last
no,
gen systems.
it's the perfect way to do it. Like I understand it's the you're missing out, you know, things are probably gonna get spoiled for some people and that's really unfortunate, but like it it holds back the entire industry
Yes. All the
and
developers working hard on that shit.
everybody will suffer instead of a very small percentage of people that will suffer. And it's just sorry, man, it's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah. Well, and it's like this has never been the standard before, not to this extent. You know
No,
what I mean? So it's like
we've never had these long of a gap, like of where they keep supporting it. They have dropped this usually by last year.
totally. Yeah, it's weird, man. It's really weird. Look, I get it. The consoles were hard to find, but that excuse isn't flying as like they're available now in most regions. You can
Hmm.
find your console of choice. If you want your PS5, you can in most places you can get it. If you want your Series X, in most places you can get it. So it's like
Yeah,
I,
no, they're just very expensive. That is it now. That's the thing that people need to swallow because I saw on Amazon if I wanted to buy a PS5 on its own with nothing, it still requests by invitation. But if I
mm,
wanted God of War Ragnarok with it, for instance, you can just buy that straight out, but it is like 650. And it's
right.
like, ah, that stings, but I think
Yeah.
I'll wait because I've waited this long. They're, they're claiming that there may be a slim version on the way. I may as well just sit on it at this point,
Yeah.
get the better version of it.
Totally. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, you're probably I would say a year out from really having those like PS5 exclusives that are tantalizing, like the Spider-Mans, and because everything right now you can get the damn thing on PS4. Sure, it's probably not the way you want to play it, but hopefully, I'll say I hope by 2024 that we're not seeing any kind of PS4, PS5. Like PS5 only from I honestly I would say from 2023 onward, but I'm sure something will get in there and screw that up. But yeah, I think you at least got another year until it's like okay, time to grab one of these if you want to play the big blockbusters. So, but what you got for Hogwarts Legacy? What would be your score for Hogwarts Legacy?
Maybe not like pick your brain for like a Metacritic prediction. Do you think this is going to be good? Like overall, just do you think it's going to be the thing that the fans of quote unquote Wizarding World are really yearning for?
See, it's hard for me to put myself in that perspective because I don't know anything about Harry Potter at all. Like
Oh, okay.
it's yeah, it's not I don't know anything about that whatsoever. But what I will say is from a huge X-Men fan perspective, when I look at Hogwarts Legacy, that's exactly what I want from an X-Men game. So I
Okay.
don't I don't know if there's really any comparison there, but I want to be experiencing something like that in an X-Men world. So I'm guessing that maybe Harry Potter fans would feel similarly. And
Yeah, okay.
I I could see this, and not to get into the controversial stuff, but I could see this getting panned critically for the association with J.K. Rowling. Um,
Yeah, that's a good point, to be fair.
the- and is that fair to the developers who worked hard on it and
Mm.
don't share those same viewpoints or whatever? Like that kind of sucks, but it's just a guilty by association thing. And I wonder about that a little bit because I think I would have maybe picked it as well earlier on because I think the game, from what I've seen, looks unbelievable. Like this bully
Yeah,
meets, fantasy world. Like it looks so cool to me.
no, that's what I mean, and I've hesitated because it keeps getting delayed and they want to keep supporting these versions, and then I think back to like the 360 Harry Potter games, they were okay, but like they weren't this good looking. And it's like almost like too good to be true. Like, am I actually seeing this? And with when the films ended, they did that spin-off where it's the prequels now. Uh, Fantastic Beasts, I think is the name of the film series now.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Huge Harry Potter fans I know hated it. And
Eesh.
it stopped me from watching the film. And I gotta say, I watched it, I think it was last week. It's amazing. That first
Really?
film is actually outstanding. I don't know why it got hate. I'm absolutely down to check out that second film and that third film. So I think this is going to be another 86. Like I think this is the game that they have needed
That's totally
within
fair.
that three point difference. Like I really think like it'll either be between 83 and 89 to this 86. Like it's good enough for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could definitely see that. like I said, I could see it being pan, not pan necessarily. I could seeing it getting a little bit of an unfair shake, but I think that from what we've seen so far, I feel like an 86 definitely it looks like on that level of quality. But I think that's a damn solid alternate, especially with we know it's coming very soon. So at least with that, you're gonna have some points on the board if something does get delayed, which is kind of what you want for your alternates. Like you don't want your alternate to get delayed. That's for sure the last thing you want. You get the delay and then you need the alternate and you can't even use the damn alternate. That's
Ringing the guy up. I don't know, man. He's just not here.
yeah, right. He didn't show up to the game. Okay. So for my first alternate, man, this is oof. I think I'm going to go back to the Xbox ecosystem here and I'm going with
No,
Redfall.
it's got it. I was about to say, there's only one thing that's left.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going with Redfall here. I think that this game has a ton of potential. And I think if it can somehow tap into like the core DNA of what an arcane game is while also featuring multiplayer, that will be a really cool ass experience. Can it pull that off? Who knows? We'll see for sure. But an immersive sim multiplayer style experience does sound really freaking cool. I think it will come out before Starfield. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
I
so
don't see Starfield coming out and then them being like, "This is what you all have been waiting for," and it's like, "Well, no, not really."
totally. Yeah.
Starfield's out.
Yeah, right. And it's kind of the thing too where we've seen a lot of what Redfall is, and if it can be where Starfield hits that holiday window, Redfall hits that kind of summer window, or maybe even earlier. I would think summer at this point, unless Xbox has
Hmm.
a showcase coming up very, very soon. But hits that maybe June, July, August window for Redfall. I feel like I just feel safe with this pick. I don't think it's going to score through the roof, but I don't think it's going to score bad either. So like, I feel a safe 75. I think is safe on it.
I wanted to look to see what Deathloop got because I remember people being very torn on that.
Well, critically, I think it was through the roof. I think that was like nearly a nine,
Like,
if I'm not mistaken.
Jesus Christ. Okay, okay. Um,
What was it?
well then, yeah, 89. Jesus.
Hey,
I still haven't even played it, and I fairly enjoy arcane games. I just don't know, just didn't hit it for me. The
yeah,
time loop stuff for me, I'm just not for me.
I get you. Yeah, it wasn't an 89 for me either, but I do think it's a cool game. But I would be hard pressed to give it a anywhere near a nine. It would probably be somewhere in the low eights though. It's a fun game. I did enjoy it. So
Yeah.
they got a cool ass gameplay loop. There's no doubt about that. They have awesome powers and shit. Like yeah, it's gonna be cool to see those cool ass powers materialize in this new vampire hunting world.
I've backed myself into a corner now.
Yeah, we're on your
I
second.
really should have picked the ones on the top of the list where it says currently have release dates instead of potentially releasing but not given a date.
Yeah.
Oh, you fool.
Is that how you
Because
separated your list?
I would love to put Stalker here, but what with everything going on in Ukraine
Totally.
still, and I
Yep.
have nothing but respect for them.
Yep. For
But
sure.
I don't think I can choose that because I don't think it will be coming out, unfortunately. I really want it to. I really want them to get that success that they deserve.
Yeah. It looks so sick too.
Yeah.
It's a real bummer. Obviously, everything about it's a real bummer, but yeah.
So I guess it's between these two, and oh, Deliver Us Mars, I think, is going to be here because it's it looks really cool, and the first game was really awesome. The Deliver Us the Moon, I think, or Deliver Us to the Moon.
Yep. Yep.
Really
Yeah.
interesting game. Um, it's not gonna blow people out of the water, I don't believe, but I think it's a good thing for an alternative
For sure.
if
That's
something gets delayed.
it totally. You're going back to your strategy here, because Deliver Us Mars is a February release date as well. So you are you're straight. If something gets delayed, you have two games that are absolutely going to fill that slot. So that's like I said, man, that is exactly what you want for your alternate picks. But what are you thinking for the Metacritic for this thing? I just looked up, and Deliver Us to the Moon, that got a freaking 77 on
Yeah,
PlayStation 4. I mean, that's a good review, especially for an alternate.
79, I think. I think it will be better than the original.
That's
I'm the optimist between us two. Us two, apparently. You go lower for the the sequel.
yeah.
I'm like, it must be better. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, no,
You're getting a second crack at it. Learn from your mistakes.
yeah. And dude, that's a really good pick, locking in two February games right there. And yeah, so I think you're at the very least you're covered for any potential delays here. For my second pick, for my second alternate pick, I have I'm almost I'm almost wanting to go back to the Game Pass bag again here because there's one that looks so damn cool to me. But in terms of providing numbers and getting that real like high eights range, I don't know if it quite hits that. You know what? Oh man, this is screw it. I'm going with my heart on this one again. Going with Plucky Squire. This is
I, you dropped me again.
this
Past
is
three, I only know one of them. What is this? The hell is Plucky Squire?
this is that game where you saw the character, he was like running along the pages.
Oh, I do know this.
This is definitely, you're getting into that Wrestle Quest. This is for sure in that similar range of it's on the indie scale, but it's doing something so unique with the visuals, and just the gameplay of this is crazy. You're running along the pages of this book, and I was like, oh, cool. That's such a unique aesthetic for the game, where you're going to be playing as a character who is your actual gameplay is taking place on the pages of a book. And as you get to the page turns and you go to the next, section of the book. And like, I was like, oh, cool. Different, chapters of this book is maybe introducing new gameplay mechanics. Like, there were so many interesting things with that alone. But then the character jumps off the page of the book into the world, and it's almost this
Yeah.
Toy Story thing, like a little character, big world. Like, I was blown away. I don't think I had this is maybe hyperbolic, but I don't think in recent times, at least, I've been so shocked by that switch up. Like nothing has really got me
Yeah.
quite like that.
Subverted your expectations completely upon watching that trailer.
Totally, man. Totally. Yeah. That thing looks
That is
just
a gem because that is a Devolver Digital published game.
right.
Cult of the Lamb this year. That reviewed so well.
Yeah. They're just
This,
that's yeah, that's a publisher that you can kind of trust. When they put their stamp on something, you can kind of take it to the bank.
damn. I'm
Similar with
kicking
kind of
myself. I forgot about that.
yeah, I was thinking too of Annapurna kind of in that same realm. I was thinking of what they have releasing in 2023, but I don't know of anything off the top of my head. I'm sure there's something that I'm forgetting, but yeah, man, Plucky Swear, I'm going with it. I'm gonna say an 84. I don't think this thing has a release date as of yet, which is something that puts me in a little bit of a worried state, but
Yeah.
if it comes out, I think it will review damn well. And I can't imagine that it's I can't imagine that it won't hit 2023. We didn't see a ton of gameplay, but I don't know.
No, it was like a minute and a bit, I believe.
Yeah, that doesn't leave me the most optimistic, but I think I gotta have it on my team because it's just one that is a personal pick. Like I cannot wait to see that game in action.
Like I
That's
said, I'm kicking myself that I forgot about that
yeah.
because that did blow me away as well. Damn.
It looks so good. Before we close this off, I do want to kind of what are some of the games on your list, and I'll go through some of mine as well, that you were thinking about that you ended up not selecting?
Ooh, that's a good one. I wasn't gonna select this. I was gonna bring this up to discuss because this shocked me at the Game Awards that this got announced. Bayonetta Origins. What on earth are they thinking?
It looked so dumb to me. I'm not gonna lie.
What on earth is that?
Like the
It's
last, yeah,
ugh.
dude, the last thing I want to think about is Bayonetta as a kid. Like that like grosses me out to the whole concept of Bayonetta now. Jesus, man. I don't get that at all.
So I had to drop that there because that needed to go somewhere, and it sure as hell ain't going on my hard drive. Jesus. Well, there was Forspoken. Wild Hearts was another one that didn't make the cut. The day before, I don't know if you've seen anything on that.
Yeah.
That like survive. It was like mimicking like what the Division was, I believe.
Yeah,
Wolong Fallen Dynasty looked alright.
bingo.
New.
That's the one right there that I really that was the when I was debating at the end there, that was one that I was like, it's
Mm.
not a game for me at all, but I know it's going to do well. And yeah, just I had to take Plucky Squire, man.
I mean, that's a hell of a pick. Fatal Frame, that new one.
Oh, yep.
A new Legend of Heroes game. It's a fairly big like JRPG series.
Yep.
Dead
Yep.
Island 2.
I no joke
You
though,
think it will review well? I
pro-
don't think,
probably not. Probably not, but
but it's coming out.
that's it's coming out. It'll be there.
Oh Christ. That's just tragic as well. Um, I had no faith in the Suicide Squad game, even if it is releasing. I just Gotham Knights burned me big time. I just
I,
couldn't get into it.
I think it's funny. You're talking about a year where a Rocksteady game is probably, I wouldn't say 100%, but probably going to release Rocksteady. And neither of us, out of 24 games, none of us took it. Like,
It wasn't even a consideration for me.
really, me
It
either.
was just there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I could have probably rattled off another 10 games before I would have picked Suicide Squad.
Mm.
That's not good. Like I'm not saying that's not indicative of what the game's going to actually be. We have no idea if it's going to end up being good or not, but I'm with you. Like I have zero expectations for this thing to be received well.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate as well,
Do you have anything
given
else?
that I have three just to rattle off quickly.
All
That
right.
was new test drive game, Unlimited Solar Crown.
Yeah.
Really big fan of Unlimited 2. That did what it escapes my mind. The Forza game, Horizon.
Yeah,
It did
5.
Horizon before Horizon was a thing. The Wolf Among
Nice.
Us 2.
Ooh, I want that so bad, man. I really
Yeah.
hope that comes out. I love that first game so much.
And I can't help it. Another Warhammer game, Bolt Gun. And that's just an old school Doom clone, is what they're going for that. And that looks crisp. It's very reminiscent of like Proteus, of what you played.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah, the old school first person shooter, Doom inspired.
yeah.
Nice. Nice.
What
All
about
right.
yourself? Oh, you.
So yeah, for me, I had Street Fighter 6. I think I'm sure that'll review decently well, but I'm not a fighting game guy, and I didn't want to betray myself too much. I'm not a racing guy. I already had a racing game, didn't want to throw a fighting game on there, and
Yeah,
then
I'm
had
with you with that.
yeah. So I also had Thirsty Suitors. I don't know. I believe this is another Devolver Digital game. Um, it looks just so crazy, turn based, but also some skateboarding going on in there. It's there. It just looks totally insane. I think it'll review fairly well. This is a
Yep.
big one that I'm kind of shocked that you didn't select. Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes.
See, that was the I was just cutting back down the list. They have like
Yeah,
other stuff as well. I haven't played the ones that have released. I own them, but I have not played them. So I didn't want to be like, yeah, here's a game I have no information about. They look good though.
yeah.
So,
Now, when I was making my last selection, this is one of this is I was really close to picking three games, and this one I think is actually going to review really damn well, and I do think it's for sure going to come out. So I kind of regretting not picking it. Looking at it now, The Last Case of Benedict Fox. You remember that?
I will have to look it up.
It
That
was
is,
the 2D Metroidvania, releasing on Game Pass day one. It was so unique looking, man. It looked like a survival horror Metroidvania. You're playing as like this detective, and you get these different
oh yeah.
abilities. Yeah, that looked really cool to me, and I, I I'm pretty confident that that will release in 2023. We saw a lot of that game, so kind of regretting not picking that. um Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, the Jet Set Radio Future inspired title.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kind of spiritual successor to that looked really damn cool to me. Pacific Drive, do you remember that one? The driving game. It's like they're calling it a road like, where you're
Oh yeah. He was
yeah,
in like a station wagon, isn't it? It looked
yeah,
like. Yeah.
yep, yeah, that and you're kind of battling the environments and
I
shit.
still don't understand what they're going for, but I'm all for it. Just give it right here.
I have no idea either. I don't know how it's because they're calling it a road like, as
Yeah.
meaning that you're like gonna be, I'm guessing, repeating this loop of trying to get to some
Mm.
destination. But I'm so compelled by the concept because I've never seen anything like it before. But yeah, Replaced. You remember Replaced coming to Game Pass day one? It looks sort of like the 2D, once again, side scroller kind of inside limbo vibes with the puzzle solving.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, that was one that, I mean, we're just looking at a crazy year. I'll just run these off real quick. Planet of Lana, like you said, Suicide Squad, Stellar Blade. Well, I guess we already kind of went through these. Dead Island 2, Wolong, Baldur's Gate 3, which, like you said, is already released on PC, or at the very least early access. So kind of not fair to pick it, but just a truly stacked year for video
Mm.
games. Truly stacked. So I'm really pumped, man. I'm
And the Hellboy game. Gotta give my love to some Hellboy. It's good to see him back kicking after his
totally.
mistreatment.
Yeah, that game looked really cool, and it's from the developer from, or no, it's from the publisher, my bad. The team who published John Wick Hex, I believe. I don't think it's from the same developer, but I loved that cell shaded brawler sort of vibe that they had going on there. So we're looking pretty well, man. We're looking like we're eating pretty good. What
Yeah.
just curious, out of everything releasing in 2023 off the top of your head, what is your most anticipated game?
Critics aside, for me, Space Marine 2.
Nice.
Because I
Nice.
wanna know what on earth happened after that ending,
Nice. Hell yeah,
is what I
man.
want.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, that's gonna close up our draft there. We got our selections on the board. Any of you out there, if y'all, I know there's a bunch of people who do like these open critic drafts. I thought about doing that, and maybe we'll do that next year. If I'm still around on YouTube, and if you're still down to shoot the breeze with me here. But it there's like this system that they have set up. I don't know if you've seen this, where like you literally go in, you type in the game, and they select it for you. They have like your brackets all detailed, and it's really cool the system that they have in place. But I figured this would just be a little bit easier for kind of like a first try. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's a really
we gotta go up at the end of the day. Gotta get better and improve. So we'll
yeah.
start here on one note.
100%. Yeah. But I was going to say, man, anybody out there, if anybody's doing a fantasy draft, and I can't speak for you, man, but if y'all are doing a fantasy draft and you want to add me into it, throw me in, dude. I'll jump into a fantasy draft with any of you bastards out there. Just hit me up. I'm down to do some selections. I'm a patron on that Sifted, the site we were talking about, and they kind of
Yeah.
have like a full like for their patron members, they have a full list on there where you can go in, and like hundreds of people on there competing in a little fantasy draft. I'm in like damn 30th place. I'm getting annihilated out there, but I love this style of stuff. I don't know why, but I really really enjoy doing this style of stuff. So I really appreciate you for joining me, man. Looney, as
No,
always.
thank you so much for letting me come back.
Ah, dude,
It's
any
an
freaking
honor.
time. Yeah, and we'll definitely get together for this next year if you're down to do it next year. And
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'll share my bad opinions again.
yeah, we'll see who ends up with the crown for next year. And like I said, we're not doing any stakes on this or anything, but yeah, it's fun just to kind of look over the year at large and then look back whenever the year's up
Mm.
to kind of have a nice little recap and build some little teams, have a fun game and all that. But appreciate you for joining me, man, and I appreciate all you viewers for tuning in. Hit me up in the comments, hit us up, let us know how you think we did. And yeah, appreciate you all for watching. Hope you all have a happy holiday season. I think this will probably be out by the time you're celebrating your holidays and all that. So hopefully this will be a nice little companion piece as you're eating some holiday food, getting to chill and listen to our sultry, sultry voices on your screens
Just
there.
something like
Well, yeah, Mad Looney. I appreciate you, man, and I will see all you good people soon. Oh, and Mad Looney,
that.
you got anything you want to plug for the good people?
Oh, no. Don't worry
No
about
plug.
that.
No plugs. Well, hey, I'm gonna
Um,
go
Obviously
ahead.
I'm always down in the comments so they can click on the name and just go through that. But yeah,
Yeah, and
I'm more for the interactions
for
in the
sure.
comments more than anything.
And I do got to say, I appreciate you so much for always, hitting people up in the comments, having some good chats. You always bring awesome dialogue to the table, and yeah, dude, you're a real one. Greatly, greatly appreciate you, man. And I appreciate all of you for tuning in. It's a blast to sit here and ramble about video games. So I'm very, very grateful that people give a shit to listen to us ramble about video games. See you all very
Absolutely.
soon. Happy holidays, everyone. See you guys. Goodbye.
See you later, man.